Your nervous system changes the state that you're in as a woman. And when you're constantly under stress, you enter a state of survival mode that you get comfortable in, and you don't even realize you're in it. Not just emotionally, but physically, mentally, and that all affects the way you live and perceive yourself in the world. So there's a difference between feeling stress and living from a nervous system that has adapted stress as its baseline. And I started noticing something about that. How quickly that overwhelming feeling can feel when you have a due date approaching, or how the body still feels like it's bracing itself for impact when it's in a safe environment. But what the nervous system actually does to us as women with our identity, our self expression, our confidence, our self esteem. Because when your nervous system is on high alert, it's hard to stay grounded and focus on yourself and who you are to feel in alignment. It's hard to be aligned when you don't even know what that feels like. And I feel like not being ourselves is the biggest betrayal we can invoke on ourselves. And I want this video to capture the entire process of how our nervous system can affect our beauty, our mental health, our self perception, and what it really means to be a woman at ease. We live in a time where feeling overwhelmed is natural. There are so much options in front of us, be it with our phones, our family, location, and environment. And that all depends on where you live. And yes, but at the end of the day, having a lot of choices to choose from on who you want to be, how you want to be, and what's affecting that can be so overwhelming and confusing. I know it is for me. Like, I'll be on my phone or my laptop getting work done, and then I get a notification on my Gmail about a shipment that's on this way. And then I get curious, wondering, oh my God, what did I order? I go check what I ordered. And then that leads me down a rabbit hole of looking up other stuff, looking up this product I wanted to buy, going on TikTok and doing some research so I can make sure I get the right product. And then before I know it, 2 hours pass. My mind is in shambles. I am overstimulated. So you see where I'm going with this? And I hope you can relate to. And not because I want you to implement that same method of living, but in a sense of relatability. The constant notifications, the constant comparisons, constant access to other people's lives that we see on a day to day, and just the constant pressure to be improving, to live this lifestyle, to be like this person. And it's not just social media, but the pace of life and how we are in this digital age. Be it social media or AI, life moves really fast. And it's not waiting for either of us. And for a lot of women specifically, I feel like there's an added layer: the expectation to be everything at once: successful, emotionally aware, physically maintained, soft but strong, independent but connected. It's a lot for the nervous system to hold and regulate at the same time. And what happens over time is that it doesn't feel like stress anymore. It all just feels normal. And I don't just think it's about the distractions of our phones and technology. It's about the nervous system adapting to constant stress regulation. It's hard to just remain still sometimes. It's like we're rarely in true stillness anymore. Even rest is often stimulation in disguise. Scrolling, watching, listening, comparing. And like I said, over time, the body just adjusts. It learns that this is normal, this is routine, this is a habit. Because your nervous system doesn't just affect how you feel, it affects how your body functions. The nervous system has two main nodes. One is activation, survival, alertness. The other is restoration, safety, regulation. And when you're constantly in the first mode, the body doesn't fully return to the second. At least not that fast. And that changes things biologically. Stress hormones like cortisol are designed to help you survive short-term pressure. But when they stay elevated over long periods, the body starts to shift how it operates. Your sleep becomes lighter, recovery slows down, your emotional reactivity increases, and the tension becomes normal in your body. Slouching when you're sitting, shoulders up high and tense. And then you just start becoming angry at the world world. I know for me, a major way I'm able to tell when my nervous system is absolutely janked is when I can't sleep. When it's 2 a.m. and my phone's to the side, lights are off, that's my signal. Hey, it's time for bed. But my mind is racing, my heart is pounding, and when there's no threat at all, that's when I know my system needs to be regulated. And for millions of people, they also feel this way. Maybe you feel this way. Look, insomnia is no joke. And when your sleep schedule is abnormal, your schedule follows. It's hard to get stuff done. Sleep research shows that stress can disrupt normal cortisol rhythms, which affects sleep quality and recovery. And I think what's important here is not just the sleep itself, but what poor sleep does to your nervous system. Because sleep is when the body rests. And when that rest doesn't fully happen, you wake up slightly already activated, already on go, already on 10, already reacting instead of responding. Over time, this becomes a loop. The body doesn't feel fully safe enough to relax. That state is often called hypervigilance. You're waiting for some ball to drop, waiting for something wrong to happen, waiting for something that needs fixing. And this is where stress starts to affect more than just energy, but your presence as well. It affects the way you carry your body, it affects your expressions. But anytime I start thinking about something that upsets me, I just have to pause, stop, and ask myself, what about this is upsetting me? And I think taking those few seconds or minutes to self reflect is going to solve all your problems because you have the answers. I have the answers to how I'm feeling. I know how I'm feeling. I got myself here. And after you do that, you will start to fall into a routine of regulation. And for some, that routine does not happen overnight. When you're constantly used to a habit, it's hard to break that instantaneously. That's why it's also important to be kind to yourself, to give yourself some grace when you get in those moments of internal warfare. But still, mentally, there's that tick that will always come up every now and then. And when it comes up, I literally just tell it to shut the fuck up and go away. I don't have time for this right now. And sometimes you just have to block it out. Whatever it is that is coming up in your mind that's making you feel unease, after you've done some self evaluation to figure it out what it is, and once you've come to that realization and conclusion, confront it, face it. It takes mental repetition to break a habit. I don't shove it down my head, but I kind of just block it out. Like, no, you're not messing my mind up right now. I'm not in the space right now where I need to be thinking about this. I'm not in a space right now where I even want to be thinking about this. And as a woman, when you choose to be in tune with your nervous system, I promise you, you will start feeling more in alignment. You will start feeling less internally reactive, less triggered. And in that space, clarity starts to return. And that energy is very strong and can be felt. A woman who lives at ease regulates her breathing. She exudes her posture of comfortability. Her expression softens. And not for anyone's comfortability or for anyone's sake, but because she is at ease. And what's interesting is that confidence often doesn't come first. Safety does. Because when you're safe within yourself and your environment, you have the space, the freedom to be confident. And I've always felt like to be confident, you have to be in alignment. Maybe not 100%, but you have to get yourself. You have to understand yourself. And to be yourself means being safe. Psychological research shows that self perception and emotional state are strongly linked. How safe and stable we feel internally influences how we evaluate ourselves externally. And this is where beauty comes into the conversation. When a woman is no longer in that sense of survival mode, her body no longer exudes that rigid structure. There's less internal urgency and more presence. And I feel like that ushers in your alignment. When someone is at peace, you can feel that. When someone is stressed and anxious, You can feel that. Now, there's always a time and a place for everything. You can't always be calm 24/7, and you can't always be stressed 24/7. And it's not a personality type, it's a skill. It is something that needs persistency in order to cultivate. It's about slowly removing the toxic patterns that keep your nervous system in that urgency state. You shift from chaos to regulation, and that regulation will lead to preservation. We want to shift from reaction to awareness, but not someone who is letting their stress, their anxiety rule them. Research shows that consistent daily routines and relaxation practices help regulate stress responses and support a more stable psychological state over time. And this doesn't have to be extreme. I promise by this. Just start moving a little slower, okay? You're cooking, you're making your bed, you're walking your dog. Be intentional with your movement, even when you're sitting down and you're getting up. Don't get up in such a rush, especially when you're walking. Walk with intention, but walk slowly. You have somewhere to be, but you're in no rush. And create moments where nothing is being consumed. You're not overwhelming your body with an overload. I find it so important to set my phone to the side for a couple hours of my day. I go outside and tend to my garden. I hit the gym, but I find myself in a better state of mind, and that gives my mental the space and the time to think without being consumed of an overload. I love incorporating self-affirmations into my daily routine. And to me, they're not just words I say, but they're words I actually live by and feel. And I've created my favorite affirmations down below for you to check out, and hopefully you can implement it into your daily routine as well. And again, it's a habit, which means it takes work and consistency to actually feel. But once you do, and when you do, you're gonna feel good.